young strapping man. That's when I was 21. Louder? Okay. That was when I was 21. A nice, dapper young man. I moved to Georgia. No, seriously. I grew up in Kent, Ohio. And with my growing up there, kind of like Mayberry, you know everyone. My first felony arrest was a DUI. And he personally caused an accident. And it was a person that I've known since kindergarten. So I figured, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to go out west. I worked for the Payson Hotshots, Tonto National Forest, for a couple of seasons, and then moved to Georgia and started doing animal control down there, which was a blast. But I don't want to have to arrest my buddies. You know how it is. So, get out of here right quick. We have quite a few areas that we do some investigations at, and my history with Bigfoot, like everyone else, it all started with Patterson Gimlin. Everyone remembers that film. But what really got me into Bigfoot was Long Creek. I remember watching that movie and being 5, 6 years old, scared out of my pants. And it's always stuck with me. Back in the 90s, when I lived in Arizona, my brother Jay, who was a doctor of veterinary medicine and a zoologist, he came down to visit me one time, and he took me down to Tucson, Arizona, to the International Society of Cryptozoology. Some of you probably remember that group, which is now defunct. They had their office there, and their secretary, Richard Greenwell, allowed us to come down, and one of the neatest things I got to do is, how many of you have heard of Cripplefoot? Yeah. I got to hold the original casting of that, and that just set things up for me, and that was just so awesome. We have this one area that I call basically it's a county park, but it's surrounded by restricted areas, mostly watershed areas that are protected since 9/11. And on this property, we have found major tree snaps. We've had multiple sightings. We've even recorded a roar from this property late at night. And we were able to gain access to some private property around it where we would be able to set up our recorders. And one of our guys was able to set his recorder up inside the county park and left it overnight. Luckily, no one took it, but that's how he caught that roar. We found TP structures and a few other interesting things. And let me get one of my videos for you.
Can they turn the lights off and over?
Yeah.
You can't see much of that.
Hang on a second. Try to explain this. That snap is roughly about 6.5 feet up, and it is actually twisted. The tree was still alive when it happened, and whatever it was, and I'm not saying Bigfoot did it, but whatever it was, grabbed the branch, snapped it, and twisted it. There you go. Unfortunately, the audio's not coming out because of the interference with the microphone. So I'll narrate as we go. So we checked this area. Behind it, you kind of see it clearly. This area is loaded with blueberry bombs. And we've had quite a few reports of these creatures coming out of the blueberry bombs. Some of the colors have been black and auburn. Up in Portage County, out in my neck of the woods. Look at that twist. I'm sorry the camera's a little shaky, but when I found it, my adrenaline was pumping. I cannot see a person doing that to a live tree. So, let me back out of this right quick.
Ed, how high off the ground do you think that was?
That was about 6.5. What it means is that stay out. Don't come near this area. Because what's behind that is a thick, thorny blueberry bog. And we think that's a possible nesting place where these creatures may go. This is actually 2 trees, and they're kind of split like this. And then the branches that were actually off the ground, you could tell they were off the ground, and they were put into an X shape, wedged in there. And not many people go to this section of the park because there's no trail. See, when I go out in the woods, I go off trail. That's the best way to do it. Sometimes you have to get on your hands and knees to get around, but that's the way you find the good stuff. The immense power of whatever did this snapped it. Now this only stands up about maybe hip high, and look at that. That is just incredible. I know people can't do it, and I've said it before. It could be a creature, but then again, who knows? Now, when I'm out in the woods, I'm certified to carry it and I know how to use it. The reason why I carry it is because this beautiful creature. This was taken on a game cam just outside Kent, Ohio back in 2014. She was taken right along the Breakneck Creek area over by the Kent State football stadium. It's another area that we do some research in. And ODNR spent that whole summer surrounding area of Kent looking for this gal. And isn't she beautiful? Yeah. They say that mountain lions aren't in this state, but they are. They definitely are. And the other reason why I carry my 357 is because we had our game cam set up in West Branch State Park in the non-hunting zone.
What is that?
Yeah.
It's a poacher.
Where that person is on the Buckeye Trail. And if you look closely, you can see that this gentleman, or people call asshat, has a crossbow. He's a poacher. So there are poachers going into our state parks 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and they're poaching animals. So if I can catch one, I got Johnny. I know the sheriff of Portage County. I can have him out there in a heartbeat.
So he's looking right at this.
Yeah.
See that?
Well, the neat thing is, I have our camera takes pictures and video, and I don't have the video with me, but his buddy was trying to take our camera.
That's what I'm saying.
They
Why
were,
didn't he?
in the video, you can see the camera shaking because we had it locked down. So if y'all ever put your cameras out, lock them down. That way they don't get stolen. You know, this is a $200 camera. So, yeah, this is what we get to deal with in Portage County. Idiots. One of my colleagues got a report of a creature in a swamp along the side of 76. The people were heading eastbound towards Youngstown, and the swamp is on the south side of 76, or the right-hand side. And this guy's heading to work. He's worried about getting to work. All of a sudden, something catches his eye in the edge of the swamp. He sees a big black creature, something black, digging in the cattails of the swamp. And you can see it from the road. He almost got into an accident. So he contacted one of my colleagues, and we ended up getting out there about 4 days later because this coming up. I'm back. We got one of our members here. This is one of our members. We had a classic sighting back on Monday, about the 7th. This was Saturday morning. The sighting happened on Monday.
This afternoon, he discovered this.
There were 2 prints. This is almost 13 inches by 5. I stepped on the second print. That's how excited I was. And you think with my law enforcement background, I would take my time to go in there. But in this, what we do, when we find something, the adrenaline kicks in. You throw everything out the window.
I'm saying that Bigfoot did this.
Yeah, that is, I can't say it's Bigfoot, but then again, who knows? So,
He was out in this area where we had a classic sighting back on Monday about 7:30 in the morning. And this afternoon, he discovered this.
this is the comparison. This track was actually taken down in the southwest of the United States. This was a few years ago. And it's roughly about the same size, 12 to 13 inches by about 5. If you look at the toes compared to what you just saw, they all look very similar, am I correct? Yeah. The person that took this track picture, he had a bunch of smaller ones also.
I was going to ask you, all that ground is soft. Were you surprised there wasn't a whole trail of them?
Well, in the track that I stepped on, you could see the toes in it, and that was on hard, and then it went into the mud and the water, and then crossed over into a bunch of leaf litter. So there was nothing. That was all hard ground on the other side. We checked the whole area. And then back behind us, we had 2 from the other direction. The guys are Jack Warren and Richard Tavernier. They observed an X structure in the direction of the first set of knocks. So I ended up going around. The neat thing about this area is where these knocks came from. They were in old swamp areas that are just so thick you can't get through. You need a bush hog just to get through this stuff. Thorns, vines intertwined and everything. So we think that this is a possible nesting area because we've got the set of knocks from one side and a follow-up from the other side. And this is all within about 100 yards of each other. Now the other set, where the southwest side, where we got the repeat of knocks, we think that that's where they were bedded down because it's in like a bowl, and the same thing, thick, thick brush and thorns. And this goes right along the Buckeye Trail. So I'm paralleling the guys as they're going in to check this out. And as we're walking through, we come across more snaps. And this, like I said, this is off trail. That's what I like to do. And we're unable to find any tracks. Still can't figure out how these things are getting into that thick area. There's got to be a way. Of course, I did not check the whole area around. Yeah. I have a feeling that that snap was brought down by other branches. There's a lot of blowdown from when we have windstorms in this area. Sorry for the shakiness.